Hello. Good afternoon from Orlando. I'm Dr. Banjaroshika. Today we're going to be talking to a very, very important person to me, but very, very important person in the world we're living in today. Very, very distinguished guest for me. So I'm waiting for him to join us. And as you join us, hello, sister. Hello, Tommy. Love you to join us. Thank you. Thank you. And we're going to be talking about quite a few things because this guest is a very, let's just say he has a lot to say about many things. And I have learned so much from him myself. As we go forward, I like for you to actually send me messages about things you'd like to hear talked about, questions you have about whatever. Because the interesting thing is, it's fun to be able to communicate with people about what they want to know more about. So someone like me, I want to know more about everything. I'm just a sponge. I want to know about everything that there is to know about. That's why I know that I know very little. Because I know I learn so much every single day. It's so humbling. It makes me realize I know very little. So, let's see. Our guest should be joining us soon. I guess he'll be joining us soon. Okay, so while I'm waiting for our guest to join us, the important part of learning, as I hope you've been learning, is to first of all know that you don't know that much. I know I don't know that much. Do you? Do you feel you know much more? You might, much more than me. But in the grand scheme of things, you don't know that much. So I really want to be able to add value to you in terms of knowledge. I want you to know what I know. That's really where I'm going with this. I love to teach what I know, but I love even more to learn what I don't. So if there are things that you want us to talk about that we haven't broached on, or please send me a message now to talk about that. Okay, so my guest is coming on board now. Should be joining us now any minute. Yes.
Hey.
Dr. Olakunle Soriyan. I call him PK. Welcome to our show, PK. Welcome.
Hey. It's a blessing and a privilege to be here. I'm excited.
Fantastic.
With all energy. I'm just asking them to get my glasses so that I can see well.
That's too short. I want you to see well, please. PK, so I'm so glad to have you on this show.
Same here.
For the guests that we have watching us now that don't know you, can you just let them know what you do, please?
Yes. So, first of all, it's a blessing to be here, Doc. It's a big blessing to share moments with you anytime. Whether we are having our private conversations or we are just gisting or taking a peep at what lives look like. It's always instructive, usable, transferable every time. So, so this is our first live together. So many more ahead of us, but I'm so excited that we are doing this, right? Who am I? Well, I think I'm the voice of the human conscience. asking everyone to take responsibility deep in their soulical context. That's what I consider myself to be. To describe that more contemporarily, I would say that I'm a futurist, I'm a thought leader, I'm an iconoclast, as I've been described many times and I've accepted. So I help people make the shift from point A to point B, whatever those points are, particularly if those points have to do with the human journey, the human purpose, human meaning, human success, greatness, legacy, right? I will represent all of that. Yes.
Fantastic. And I met you some years back,
Yes.
and what we're doing now, I always knew we'd do it. I didn't know it would take this long for us to do it, but for us to have one of the conversations we've had on a line like this for other people to hear, I've had the most intense conversations with you. Amongst my friends and mentors and colleagues out there, some of my deepest conversations have been with you, and I appreciate you for
Privilege.
that. I really do.
Mutual. Thank you, Doc. And mutual, my brother.
Because you add value every single time. And I, before you came on board, I was talking about the fact that I'm very humble to learn that there's so much I don't know. I love the fact that I know a lot, but as much as I know there's so much more that I don't know. And for me, it's exciting. It's so exciting.
That's deep. That's deep.
Especially when I talk to people like you.
Only great people take responsibility for that. Most people get the cheap opium from what they know. It's so cheap. You will need a dimension of understanding and maybe even maturity to learn that the more you know is actually the proof that there's so much more to know. So
PK, I have to just pause you. I just have to pause you there, because when you drop those, I call them the life pearls, life pearl bombs. I just have to highlight it. Yeah.
Yes.
When people realize that what they know is just creating cheap opium for them, they get addicted to the little that they know.
Yes.
And the feel good hormones that it sparks up in them. And I know this much.
Yes.
Cheap opium.
It's so cheap. It's so cheap. It's cheap opium.
Fantastic.
It's cheap opium. I mean, from coming. I mean, you know my story. I mean, very few people have made mistakes as much as I've made. And I always tell people, that you don't make mistakes except you have an initial conviction that you were on the right path, right? Nobody just wakes up and say, I want to make a mistake. Every error is preceded by some season, no matter how momentary, of conviction. You must believe that you were right. I don't care if it's a business, I don't care if it's marriage, I don't care if it's a place you went to, whatever it is. If you were sure you were wrong, you won't make the move. So every wrong move came from some level of conviction, however momentary it is, however transient it is. So conviction is not a proof of right, justice, or truth. Just because, the terrorist is convinced about something, but he's dying for nothing all the same. But he's so convinced he will terminate his existence for his conviction. He will actually blow himself up. The suicide bomber blows himself up for an ideology that is yet to validate. But he remains as the truth he has enthroned, and he will die for it. Right? So I say to people that conviction should even be the beginning of fact-finding if you are truly humble. Because when you look at it, Doc, every time, there are many times we've been very sure and we ended up right. We were so sure we were right and we were right many times. But there has been no time we ended up wrong without thinking we were right initially. There's no time. Every time we were wrong, we were sure we were right. So I say to people, if you are 40 years old, 53, or you are 20 years old or 19, for as old as you are, every time you have been wrong, you thought you were right. 35
Wow.
years or 40 years is long enough for you to know that when you feel right, doesn't mean you are right. Right?
You're better know, but by that time, you better
know.
have learned that.
You better have learned that.
Oh my word, that's amazing, PK. What you said is so profound, because conviction, acting on conviction, is a powerful thing. Especially when it's conviction based on the right ideas, based on truth.
Yes.
Now, acting on conviction, but it being on the wrong idea that leads to the outcome you didn't expect,
Yes.
which now becomes, like as you described, a mistake,
Yes.
shouldn't make you stop acting based on conviction. But what you just said, everybody acts based on conviction initially.
Everybody.
So
what we do,
until they realize that they're wrong.
yes, like Mike Tyson says, until they are punched in the face. You know, so
Or punch in the face.
punch in the face.
Oh my
So I
word.
get for me, error is feedback from the future. That's how I see error. I refuse to allow error
feedback from the future.
Yeah.
So community, start getting these life pro bombs, because PK drops them. He just keeps dropping them. Just get that one. Huh? That was powerful.
You know,
Thanks.
I don't allow error to overwhelm me, because on my best day, I will still make mistakes. You know, the human condition cannot exist in its perfect state of behavior. You can visit it more often than not. You can experience it. Your perfect state of behavior is an experience you will have at times, an experience that will visit you, but you cannot be perfect every time. You cannot supply perfect behavior every time. And if that is true, then we are dealing with a constant. You know, if it's a constant, then I can't keep beating myself down to death just because I made a mistake. Instead, I want to open up to the data that the mistake is feeding me with. And I dare say that every mistake you are making presently is the future preventing you from a greater one.
Mm. Wow.
It's the future's way of giving you a little dose so that the bigger one doesn't come. Just so the future protects you with imperfection.
Wow.
Right? So I tell people every time that if the Garden of Eden was perfect, you know, Satan will not be there. The serpent will not be there. You know, if Adam was perfect, Eve will be unnecessary, right? If today was perfect, tomorrow will be useless, probably even unnecessary. So,
wow,
imperfection does not necessarily mean flawed. All flawedness is imperfect, but not every imperfection is flawed. A lot of imperfection is
I'm going to slow you down, PK, because you see, because I'm sure people are like, they're just rolling as you're hitting them and hitting them. I'm going to go back to something you just said about imperfection.
Yes.
Imperfection is not all flawless.
Yes. Not all imperfection is flawed. Every flawedness is imperfect.
Flawed.
Yes. Every flawedness is imperfect. But not
every flawedness is imperfect.
Is imperfect. But not every imperfect is flawed.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Help us. Fantastic.
And that takes maturity to lean into the instruction of that level of imperfection, because that imperfection is speaking to betterment, to improvement. That imperfection is the guarantee of engagement for tomorrow's people. If we can solve all the problems in the world today, tomorrow's people have nothing to do. In fact, the world will end. So the incompleteness of how we see, how we hear, how we interpret, how we judge, how we make decisions, the imperfection in all of that is the guarantee of engagement for tomorrow's people.
Wow.
Because if iPhone 14 was enough, there would never be iPhone 15. Never be iPhone 15, right? iPhone 15 is the proof of the journey, of the imperfect journey of iPhone 14, right? So whether we like it or not, everything is in a phase of development. Everything in life. whether place or thing, person or thing, is in a phase. Most people deal with what I call, heroic helplessness. The idea that somehow they think that just because they are enough, they are complete. Just because you are enough, you are complete. So you judge yourself so harshly when you make a mistake. The best of you is always in you, but the completion of you is always in others. And you have to take that in, right? You have to take that in, because you don't live alone in this life, right? So 3 things that will complete you will be other people, time, and geography. You can never be complete in this life if you ignore those 3. Because if you stay in yourself, if you are enough, you should never step out of your house. You should make all your money from your house. All your social connections should be in your room. Everything should be there. In your room. Wow. As long as you are talking to yourself. That's what I always tell people. You are complete in prayer, but in experience, you are never complete. You are enough for yourself. If you are alone, as long as you are alone, you're not talking to anybody but God. You are enough. But once you have to take action in this life, you are never enough.
PK,
all that is just silly.
Someone wrote here, the best of you is in you, but the completion of you is in others. That's exactly what you said. And I know
the best of you is always in you, as a matter of fact. It's always in you, but the completion of you is always in others.
Fantastic. Carol Dweck wrote a book called Mindset. And what you just described is exactly what she was talking about, between the growth mindset and the fixed mindset. And I had a fixed mindset for a very long time. I didn't know that. And with a fixed mindset, you believe you've already become. With a growth mindset, you're constantly becoming.
Yes.
And that difference and that knowledge that because I didn't get an A doesn't mean I'm a failure. Because I got an A doesn't mean I'm the genius. That difference, because then if I didn't get an A, I was a dullard. Now, some of that is from our parents, just always wanting those A's. But when you now start focusing on the effort they're putting in and commending that effort, that's how the creatives come about. Because it's not always about straight A's. It's about the learning process on the way and being able to make your mistakes talk to your future. You said it so perfectly.
Yes.
Your mistakes are a sign. They're almost like a gift from the future. That, okay,
it's a gift.
A little dose of what could be if you continue doing what you're doing. If you continue doing what you're doing, it could be much more.
It will be.
It will be much more. Oh my God.
It will be much more. Every error is salvation. Every error is redemption. And we need to be able to pause. These are not consciousness that happen to you spontaneously. They don't just happen to you by coincidences or happenstance. You have to be intentional to take the moment in and to take that feedback. You have to practically slow down, probably almost shut down from everybody to really understand the weight of what you are experiencing. Because no matter what you are experiencing, it's always bigger than the moment. There's a connection every time between your prevailing experience and your unknown future. Your unknown future actually has only one voice, your prevailing experience. The voice of your future is in your prevailing experience. And so if you disdain or take it for granted what you are experiencing, you are disrespecting your future. No matter what you are facing, you have to be present, because everything is here. Everything is here. On your best day, it's in the now. On your best day, on your worst day, the now is a gift from the future.
The now is a gift from the future. Communities, take this cross down. Me, I write things like this down, because you have to understand that whatever you're going through today, let what you're hearing right now give you that renewed hope that no matter how bad it is, you're learning how bad it will be in the future if you don't change course now. As long as you're alive, you can change course.
Yes.
Learn from now. Learn from yesterday. Don't stay there. But now, learn from now. Don't be so miserable and depressed about now, because now is now. Now is now because of what tomorrow will be if you continue doing the same thing. Wow.
It's as simple as that. I can even expand that. I can even expand that. Because today you have only two experiences: the great ones and the not too great ones, the good ones and the bad ones, right? At every point in time, you are either celebrating or you are in pain or you are in discomfort at every point in time. Now, the attitude is when things are good, celebrate with wisdom, celebrate moderately. Because, when you if you allow criticism or bad experiences to give you devastation, you make a big mistake. Equal to if you allow compliments or victories to give you inspiration, you are still making the same mistake. Because when you expand it and you bend time, you are going to realize that both criticism and praise are the same. The difference between both of them is time. So that is why you don't get a testimony. You don't make some money today or you don't get happy today and you never get unhappy again. Everything has a lifespan. So your prevailing victory is giving you capacity to stay in your next misery.
Whoa.
You see, your prevailing victories
is giving you capacity to stay in your
next misery. Because something unplanned, an unplanned interruption will soon visit you. You use your victory moments to take power so that you can have tranquility in the face of your next adversity.
Wow.
You see? Wow. So celebrate privately, celebrate moderately, take instruction, build capacity, because what you are experiencing has a lifespan.
Wow.
Very soon you're going to move into a season of conflict. You're going to move into a season, a contrary season, whether you like it or not, no matter who you are. It doesn't matter if you are Bill Gates or you are Steve Jobs or you are Barack Obama, or it doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter who you are, whether you are Liko Dangote or it doesn't matter who you are, whether you are a pastor or a bishop or a pope, it doesn't matter who you are. Your season of goodness, what I call your channel of opportunities, overwhelming opportunities, no matter how awesome they are, they have a lifespan. Soon, you are going to shift from that. It's like a circle. You are always moving in that circle. You are going to shift into your season of your contrary season and your season of conflict. And when you get into that, your ability to experience tranquility there will be determined by how you took your last celebration.
Wow. So I love how you can link things together, Peter, because that is so profound. I don't know if people think like that. And it's something that's come to mind for me in the past, that wow, in the same day, I'm experiencing such amazingness.
Yes.
And that same day, I'm experiencing such horribleness. And I'm like, how? Why is life like this? But then that is life. So to become intentional, like you said, to be able to actually take from the good days and let those good days give you the ability, the capacity, you said, to carry you through the bad days. Because they will come.
Yes.
As long as you're alive, they will come.
As long as you are alive, they will come.
They will come to all of us.
All of us. And the interesting thing is, the bad days also come with a lifespan.
Yes. Thank God.
Now, community, I need you to get this. Whether you do something about your bad days or not, it will fade away. The reason why, whether you like it or not, the problem is going to go.
Yes.
The reason why people remain in their states of struggle is because they never interpreted that situation. And so it will leave you, but your mind will keep it with you, because you don't have that, you mentioned it, that growth mindset. So a lot of times the problem is no longer there, because I've engaged people to describe their problem for me. What is your problem? And I dare say to people, Once you cannot describe the problem, it doesn't exist. It's in your mind. And a lot of times, what people call problem is a residue of the real problem. The problem has come and gone. It's the residue that they are dealing with.
The scar.
The scar.
The little scar.
And that is the little scar. And some of those scars are not meant to go away.
Yes.
They are your reminders.
Exactly.
That you travel that journey.
Those scars, absolutely. You've been there, done there. You wrote the book.
Yeah, you wrote the book. I always say to people, beware of generals without scars. Take a second look at them, because a lot of times they have very little to offer you.
Wow.
And they've experienced too much good to understand the conflict of blessing and curses, of peace and war. So they can't be in your place. They will know a lot, but they will not create any change for you. I say that every time. So
go ahead. Sorry.
Go ahead, Doc. Go ahead.
Now, I was going to add to what you just said. The fact that actually knowing when someone is adding value to you, and when someone is not adding value to you anymore is a very important part of stress management, because people tend to keep relationships around that should not be around.
Correct.
Especially if you're a good person, the tendency is to want to keep relationships around. So it just brought to mind when you were saying that just now about adding value to people adding value to you, and people not adding value to you, discerning that, recognize that. Is this friendship adding value to me?
Yes.
Is it taking anything away from me? Because anything that makes you feel less than or takes away from you, you should not be around. Now, is it doing nothing? Is it not taking away and not adding? Why do you waste time there?
Yeah.
Look for people or situations that add to you. Be intentional about that.
Yes.
And become intentional about letting the situations or people that don't add become in a different category in your life. Just a different space. So I just wanted to highlight that. Sorry.
Yes,
that just came to me very, very powerful.
Priceless. Priceless. And again,
it makes me think all the time. Okay, sorry.
So I always say also that, when you are in a situation, no matter what you are dealing with, there are some things you need. First of all, you need people. Now, you don't need everybody. People always confuse that. Just because you need people doesn't mean you need everybody. The lifestyle you must keep is to let people qualify for the investment of your time and your energy. You have to let people qualify. It's not pride, it's not arrogance. It's you, protecting your space and shielding your peace from unnecessary impact, right? Wow. Now, war will come, whether you like it or not. You will fight wars, but fight wars that lifts you to the next level. You have to look at the spoil of war to determine if it's what your investment, if it's a battle worth going into in the first place, right?
Exactly.
So whether you like it or not, you can't bring everybody in. Most people are not in relationships. The way I describe it is most people are in a soccer game where somebody is the soccer and somebody is the soccer, and they are busy draining each other, pretending to be in a relationship. The courage to name that, the courage, because that takes courage to actually decide that this relationship is toxic, that this relationship, is not working. It takes courage to be able to move beyond that. And what I say to people, however, is no matter what you are going through, the people you need are people better than you. And I'll say that again. How do you know people that are better than you? It doesn't mean that they have more money than you. It doesn't mean that they are older than you. It doesn't mean, what it means is not even that they are better than you at all in life. But in that moment, in every season of conflict, you are vulnerable. Don't let anything convince you that you are in your best self. You are not in your best self. You are taking too much body blows. You are not in your best self.
Wow.
The people around you that you permit into your life, in that moment, they are better than you.
Wow.
Because they have helicopter view. They are not facing what you are facing. They are feeling it with you. They have empathy with you, but you are the one going through it. So even your personal assistant is better than you in your season of conflict. Because you are vulnerable. Pretty much, you are vulnerable.
You said some. I mean, what? There's a very simple term I tell my patients not to say. Or anyone. 3 words. I know that. But whatever it is that you know, just echoing what you're saying, PK. Whatever it is that you know, you can know much more.
Yes.
Someone knows more than you and can teach you in whatever field. That's why for me, I learn something from everybody. Everybody I come in contact, because I'm intentional about it. I want to know what they know that I don't. I want to know. And I'll sit at your feet.
Correct.
As a someone like you, I sit at your feet all the time because I want to know what you know, and I'm still learning. There's so much more.
Same thing for anybody going somewhere. Same thing for anybody going somewhere. And let's advise the people here. Let your friends be capable of mentoring you. Don't choose friends who are not capable of mentoring you. Mentoring is not about anybody better than you at all. All your friends should be capable of mentoring you. Absolutely. Your wife should be capable of mentoring you. Your husband should be capable of mentoring you. Anybody around you, your children should be capable of mentoring you. Your friends should be capable of mentoring you in some way, right? And mentoring is not, I tell people, I don't take advice, I don't take instruction from mentors. No. The goal of mentoring is not instruction. The goal of mentoring is advice. Advice is the capacity to expand your table, your war room, to contribute to your war room, to expand your table of options, to give you angles, new vistas, right? That is the goal of mentoring, perspective, right? Absolutely. You must be the one to take that decision eventually. So when you speak to a mentor that gets offended because you didn't do what he told you to do is not a mentor, it's an oppressor. Ooh. It's not a mentor. A mentor should be comfortable.
Wow. That's powerful.
Yes. A mentor should be comfortable to tell you what to do and trust that you will take the right decision. The goal of mentoring is to multiply your options. That's all. You must have the maturity to see the options and then to take it. Because at the end of the day, you're not going to mess up and say somebody told me to do it. That's what kids should do. Once you're above 18, you have lost your rights to talk like that. So whatever you do is you did it. So you can't blame anybody for whatever you do. So own it. You must have the freedom to build mentors around you. Then you must have the wisdom to take their counsel on anything you do. But you must have the courage to take decisions. That's it.
Wow. That's powerful. That's powerful. And I call it a global perspective, because I believe whatever it is that you know, whatever decision one has to make, getting other people's viewpoint on that same subject matter, people that know more than you do, people that have the kind of fruit you want to have, and actually getting the perspective that they have, that's what causes open-mindedness. Being able to open your mind to see the whole 360-degree view of that elephant. Not just the stinky bum looking at the behind or the wisdom looking into his eyes, the whole perspective. So mentors, make your friends mentors. Develop friendships with people that can mentor you on something.
Yes.
Your friends should add to you. Oh, pick it up.
Add to you.
That's super.
Because the goal of association is 3 things, Doc, as you know already. The goal of association is peace, relief, and progress. It doesn't matter who you are relating with, whether it's your chauffeur or is your executive assistant, your staff, your neighbors. It doesn't matter who they are. The goal of any association, if you hire somebody who is not giving you those 3, you hired a virus. It's time to audit and take a decision, get an antivirus. Because the goal of every association is relief, peace, and progress.
Relief, peace, and progress. Fantastic.
That's the goal of association. So
fantastic.
If I don't see that in my relationships, I call it out.
Wow. And you put it in a different category. Even if they still remain in your sphere, just a different circle. Because I say, and this echoes something you said earlier, I find it is a privilege for someone to be in my inner circle, my space. But then I know it's a privilege for me to be in your space. And any space I occupy as an inner circle, I see as a privilege. The problem becomes now when you don't. And I have finally become a bit more intentional about being able to take people out of my inner circle and put them in the corner. I will still love on them, but I'll love on them from here. That's key. PK, I think your audio is off.
I can hear you clearly.
I can hear you now. Yes.
Hello.
I can
hear you clearly too. I can hear you clearly.
So, good.
Yeah. And I think that's how God also is. God loves everybody equally.
Yes.
But He blesses us differently.
Yes.
Based on the kind of energy we radiate, with people around us. So we cannot, I tell people, if you relate with everybody and you reward relationships equally, you cast aspersion on the value of faithfulness and loyalty. If somebody is silly and you reward him equally with somebody who is serious-minded and focused, you are telling the serious-minded person that there's no reward for being serious-minded. You can as well be silly, and I will pay you the same thing, even if you are silly. So in the defense of virtue, we have to be selective about how we place premium and how we deploy premium. It's not about you, it's not about them. It's in the defense of virtue. It's in the defense of meaning, that if somebody is faithful and somebody is not faithful, I can't reward you the same way. You are both my friends. I love you both. But we have to, if I reward you equally, I am telling the faithful person that there's no reward for being faithful. And that even if you choose to be unfaithful, you choose to be disloyal, you choose to be unkind, you choose to be gossiping, you choose to backbite, it doesn't make a difference. I will reward you equally. So because the energy for foolishness.
I'm just reading things as people are saying here, PK.
Because the energy for foolishness is natural. You don't need formal training to know how to be stupid. You just need to be born. You don't need to go to a classroom to know how to be foolish. So people who act wisely have made a sacrifice. They've gone beyond the limits of nature to collect experiences, with hard work and attention and discipline and intention. So they can be rewarded equally.
It even goes back to your family as a parent.
Yes.
You can't reward your children equally if one is doing something dumb and one is doing something that's fantastic.
Yes.
So even if I run from the first dynamic, going out to your friends and family, absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely.
You love them equally.
Yes.
You love them equally.
Yes.
But the release of premium is differently.
PK.
Is differently.
PK. I want to go back in time just a little bit because I want to get a bit of a viewpoint from your childhood. What's the very first memory you have of your childhood, PK? The very first memory of childhood for you.
Wow. It's a wow. It's a very personal question,
And I don't want you to get too personal. I want you to bring the pearls out of your life that you're willing to bring on.
Yes. So I didn't have the privilege of, I can't remember a lot of my childhood, unfortunately. I really can't remember most of it because I was in a boarding house at the age of 3. And I don't judge my parents for that. It was tougher at home. Whatever was going on in the boarding house is nothing compared to what's going on at home in a polygamous situation where there's consistent friction, war, and it's a very interesting one because the people you are worked with carry your last name, and that your dad says that they are your siblings, your mom says they are your adversaries, and they carry your last name. As a kid, that's too much for you, man. That's too much. So if they take you out of that kind of situation, it's wise, right? But where they put me, it's not necessarily better, which is a boarding house.
Right.
But what happened to me in the boarding house was I learned to find my best experiences outside of my familiar natural territories. So because I was in a boarding house, I realized, and I didn't realize that very early, except, in fact, I didn't realize that until I was 50. I realized there was something in me that gravitated towards outsiders. I just want to be out with friends, than with my siblings, than with family. And it took a lot of honest self-evaluation for me to realize that, yeah, this is my training. I've been in a boarding house since age 3. I was in boarding house in nursery school, in primary school, in secondary school, in the university. I was never at home, really. So I'm not used to building relationship with my siblings. And it's the same for my siblings as well. They all went to boarding houses. So, for example, almost everybody in my family have friends that are almost closer to them than their own sibling, because we all build relationship outside. And so, but part of what I say to people is that, look, it is what it is. You really can't press rewind. I have intentionally freed everyone that contributed to the struggles that I had to, experience as a young person. The contradiction of life. The problem with cynicism is that the cynical person, can understand everybody's, problem except his own. So if you're not careful, you'll be cynical about everything and everyone, but you miss your own learnings. So deliberately, I've gone out of my way to say, nobody sat down to say, I want to attack nurturing, growing up. The parents that I knew gave their best. My dad gave his best. So I've learned to focus on the assets than the liabilities. And so what do I remember the most about my childhood? I remember that I was kind of brilliant. I passed common entrance at the age of 4. I was in high school at the age of 9. I remember that. I finished high school at the age of 14. So I know that I had something like that, and I knew people used to tell me stuff like that. But my childhood was more about struggles, more than anything else. But I thank God that we are here. Providence, Providence. God allowed us to be here, and I'm grateful.
Absolutely, PK. Because
what I look at. Yeah, you go ahead, please.
Well, I was saying that I look at how you grew up, and I look at how I grew up, and I talk about sibling love. But then listening to you now, I just realized something. I realized that there are other loves that you can get from people that care about you. It still goes back to loving. Being loved is one of the greatest gifts that we have. But it's one of the greatest gifts we can give. But you're more likely to give that gift of loving when you've experienced being loved first yourself. So I hear about people that loved you in your boarding schools. People that loved you, that became your family as you went to boarding school. And I've seen it in you today. Because I see people around you, okay? I see people around you that are so loyal to you, and they're your friends. And it's so endearing for me to see, because it's not something I grew up with. I grew up being close with most of my siblings, and then everyone else was an outsider. But I see you and how you conduct yourself today, and it's fantastic. So no matter what difference how it may look to you or to me at any point in time, where one gets to, like you said, Providence, and where you are today, I see the benefits and the lessons you learned that have guided you to where you are today, my brother.
Priceless. You put it so perfectly well. Priceless. That's just it for me. One of the greatest lessons from my past is gratitude. I've gratitude. I just thank God, because at the end of the day, you really, when you look back, and you really cannot find too much science in how you evolved, and you just somehow stumble into key friends, key geographies, key moments that made all the difference. That is it. My parents were westernized in any way. So we didn't have the privilege, or I don't even call it privilege anymore. I used to call it that, because at times it's misfortune, but I didn't have the experience of Western, social orientation. I didn't have that. I used to think when I was much younger, I used to consider that a minus, that we were not as westernized. But today, having grown and matured, there's a lot of westernization that is a blessing. There's a lot of it that is a burden.
Absolutely.
There's a lot of it that is a minus as well.
Absolutely.
Just like, yes.
Absolutely. 100%
so as
times
free
10.
bonds, yes, Doc. Yes. So as free bonds, part of what we now understand, particularly for those of us who read the scriptures, is that we have been bought with a price. We can't be servants of anything, and we are to ourselves. We'll be true to the best of our ability. To our environment, we'll be accountable and relevant as much as we can. To our God, we'll be humble. And then we live out our humanity, and then it adds up. It won't meet up with the standards of so many people. It won't meet the marking scheme of so many people, but it will be our life, and it will be authentic and true, and that's most important.
Fantastic. Well said, PK. As usual, I want to read a few comments here. PK, I see you ignore me. People are basically the product of their environment. People are basically the product of the environment. Powerful. That's fantastic. And someone says, Wise not gets PK. Going to get quality of association, basically. Okay. I'm going to have my notes. Okay. Peace, relief, and progress. The goal of every association. Fantastic. So people are taking notes. and that's the whole idea of this for me. Soriyan never fails to blow my mind because of what is this wisdom. I mean, it's fantastic. And what I'm learning very quickly, and as I move forward, as I get older, is the more people that I meet, the more I know. It's as simple as that for me. The more people I meet, the more I know. Because I'm more intentional about meeting people. I strategically meet people because I want to know what they do.
Correct. And
I've seen you do that. I've seen you do that. I've seen people do that with you. I think it's amazing. And it's so much fun. Just learning more of what you don't know.
Yes. Like I said, it's cheap opium to build your life around what you know. What you know is so small. It's so small. It's better to exercise our minds around what we don't know. People come around me. They say, "Oh, they want me to pray for them. I want to be able to talk like you." I said, I'll tell you a simple thing: dwell more in your zone of the unknown. Because no matter how much you know, if you know how much you need to know, you realize that what you know is what you have studied, and what you have studied is so small. How many books have you read in this world? Do you know how many authors are in this world? Countless. Some of them you will live 1,000 years and never read and never know that they even exist. And they said some of the most amazing, profound things that you never came in contact with. The humility to fact find, I think that's the strength of greatness. The humility to continuously fact find.
Is the strength of greatness. Fantastic.
Yes. I really believe so.
That's fantastic. And the truth is, it goes in tandem with the growth mindset. The whole idea is to find out more. Just find out more. Just know more today than you did yesterday. So that tomorrow or even today you can do things better than you did them yesterday. And you can continuously grow in every. And this is the information age. Everything is literally a click of a mouse away.
Yes.
Which is good and bad.
And I mean, what I also say? I say that life will never make a demand of you where it has not invested. Life will never make a demand of you where it has not invested. Life will never, guys, life will never make a demand of you where it has not invested. So don't think about all that can be known. Focus on anything life brings your way. Because the things life brings your way is the field of knowledge is going to make a demand of you. So, you know, if you meet anybody, you run into a book, you better pay attention, because life is sending you knowledge that is going to soon come and test you on.
Wow. Wow.
So you don't.
Okay, no, sorry. No, you can't go on from there. You have to pause. Because that is so profound. You know, when I think about the fact that experiences today can be fantastic or could be horrible, but then when I realize that every single experience I have, I'm going to be tested in the future. But that experience I had last week, or last month, or last 10 years ago, that I didn't learn from. I didn't pick up. I would say when you fall down, the pearls will be picked up. Now, if you get up before picking up the pearl, you're going to fall back down to pick up those pearls again, but it'll be a harder fall.
That's it. Yes. That's it. Because like we started, you know, error is a gift. Error is redemption and salvation from the future. Error is always a gift from the future. It's feedback from the future. So everything that is your space, pay attention to it, because you'll be tested on that. Every man is tested according to the new trends that were sent his way. It's as simple as that. Life will never place a demand on you where it has not invested. No. Life will not ask you to work if it didn't give you legs.
Wow.
Life is not going to ask you to run if it didn't give you legs.
Wow.
You know, life is not going to ask you to think if it doesn't give you a brain. So everything that life has given you will be tested. You know, so you will never be tested beyond your space. So whatever is in that space, master it.
Wow.
You know, the books that come your way, read them. The podcasts you run into, take them seriously. The voices that come into your life, audit them and know the ones to take, the ones to resist. You know, the geographies you find yourself, don't just go on holiday and drink your life away. You know, go on holiday and pay attention. You know, look at that environment, take instruction. You are in Miami, there's an instruction there for you. You know, you find yourself in Florida, there's an instruction. You know, you get to Accra, trust me, you are not just getting to Accra to just, no, there's an instruction there. Everything in life, people, places, and moments are filled with instruction. The moments of your life, the geographies you experience, the people you come in contact with are laced with instruction. Some of them to teach you what not to do, some of them to teach you what to do. But whether you like it or not, the people you bring into your life, or the people you denied access, the places you allowed yourself to go, or the geographies you refuse to see, or the moments you prioritize or deprioritize. That's your life. When death is sure, retirement is guaranteed, you are at the departure lounge of life, ready to take the flight. Your life is proportional to the people you gave access or denied access. The geographies you allowed yourself to see or refuse to see, the moments you prioritize or deprioritize. That's life. That's the wealth of your legacy. That's the richness of your personal peace. And that's even the strength of your bank account.
Community, are you taking notes? Because I thank God I can listen to this over and over and over again. Because it's so powerful to hear your thoughts. Because I'm sure PK is saying things that people might have thought about, or have some rudimentary thought about, but not really had a good way to apply to their circumstance. You know, because you go through experience and you wonder to yourself, why am I going through this? What do I have with this problem? Why is this my problem today? It's your problem today, like PK just told you, because you need it for tomorrow. So learn from it. It might be something that you're learning not to do.
That's it.
Not everything you learn is something you're going to do. It might be something that you're learning not to do, and you're learning it so powerfully. I teach me from my mistakes. My mistakes that make me an expert at those things. At least I'm an expert on that thing that I did that I shouldn't have done. I'm not an expert on what I should not have done.
Yes.
And I will teach you not to do it, because if you do A, B happens. That's the fruit you have from it. Look at the fruit of people that you're associating with. Be intentional. Do they have the fruit you want to have? If they don't, then do the opposite. If they do the same thing. Don't try and reinvent it. Many people have done what you're trying to do. Many people they've climbed that mountain you're trying to climb. look for those people. Let them be your friends. Let them be your mentors. I've paid money to meet people. That's how intentional I am about meeting people, because I believe you are a sum total of your network. Your net worth is your network. Meet people. Allow people access into your space. Discern, be discerning, but don't close off everybody, because if you're closing off the wrong person, like PK said, you might be closing up a fantastic pipe into your dream. It's very, very, very key. PK, man.
Yes.
Powerful. As always.
Respect, man. Thank
Fantastic.
You. Thank you, dog.
I'm so blessed for you to come on this show today, for you to share your pearls, to show your experiences, and give us an inner depth into you as a person. Because I always believe people are able to get even more from you when they know about your past. Now, people come on air, people are all kinds of celebrities, and people don't know their past. But when they know their past, they're more relatable, and they're more able to follow and actually gain from them. That's why I'm very vulnerable in my past. I tend to say a bit, people say I say a bit too much, but I tend to believe that the more I know about you, the more I can relate to you, the more I can gain from you, the more I can give to you.
True.
You know,
True.
We're not intimate enough as people. We're not enough. There's not enough
simple
intimacy.
As that.
You know, intimacy is key. That's the basis of real communication. Intimacy, being able to hit each other between the eyes with truth, and be able to call each other out very, very quickly about pretentiousness and non-truths. You know, it's very, very, and that's why the relationship I have with you is a very rich one for me, and it's something I treasure and I cherish. And I thank you, my brother. From the bottom of my heart, I thank you so much for everything.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. It's a pleasure to you know how we love on each other. I mean, I don't take it for granted. You are an exceptional person, and it's a privilege to connect. You know, the vulnerability, and I also need to throw this out there. The strength of intimacy is vulnerability. You know, I've made that conclusion personally. You know, vulnerability precedes intimacy. You know, every time. Yes. And the reason why people are not intimate is because they're not vulnerable. They're busy trying to show each other. You know, that's it. Yes. And vulnerability works. Wow. And I think that's one thing that works for our own relationship, because we're always vulnerable. We put everything on the table. There's no conversation we cannot have. And it helps us to go deeper. Yes. You know, because depth is not intelligence. Depth comes from demand. You know, it's demand that creates depth. You know, you are not deep because you are smart. You are deep because of the demand on who you are and what you carry. So if you come into a speaking session, it is the demand from the audience that will determine your depth. You know, so it's not really that you came in with a lot of intelligence. It's just that you are responding to depth. You know, so if you have friends, you know, and you are not placing that level of demand on each other, you arrest your depth to each other and how much you can serve each other. That's what happens. So vulnerability is very key, and I think that's one thing that defines our own relationship. You know, I celebrate it every time. It's been a pleasure, man.
It's been a pleasure, my brother. Community, please thank Dr. Olakunle Soriyan for me, please, because you've been amazing. Thank you, my brother. God bless. Community, I hope you have gained from this what I have, and I have gained tons. I'm going to there'll be lots of I always put down the life pearls that we got from this session. I always put them down on our page, because it's very, very important you learn from these things, like I am learning. And that's the only way you know more. When you know more, you do more. When you do more, you have more. Who doesn't want to have more? Now get out there and do more, because now you know more. You heard a lot today. Doc, thank you.
Brother,
God bless you.
Have a blessed night.
You too.
Love to you. We connect later, man.
Absolutely. And community, we'll see you next week Tuesday. Till then, bye-bye.